We're going to start with Big Mama Apple here. Here we go. I got to be honest with you. Watching this reaction in happy hour yesterday was something else. If we take a look inside here, you'll notice that right when the print came out, Apple actually sold off 262 on the low. Almost immediately, within 10 minutes, it had gone back to a red-green move and then actually went higher. Looks like the high that we printed here in the after hours was 285. Now, we did bleed some of those gains back, but we are holding steady here in the pre-market. So one of the things I'd like to look at, Tenzin, if you're here, one of the things that I'd like to look at here for a potential trade, let's go ahead and just draw these horizontal rays right here. Bang. There's the top end. Here's going to be the bottom end. Let's see. It's a pretty tight range there, 274 to 278. If we break out or down from this range and get a back test, we should be giddy up on a potential trade there for Apple. We'll see if we end up getting those here today. I'm actually going to delete these lines from this chart, and we will add them to the smaller time frame chart when we actually go to trade. As far as the daily chart goes, we're actually above this trend line, new all-time highs. This has been a huge run for Apple. Remember, when everyone was freaking out on Liberation Day, stock was about $172, just a little bit beneath. Here we are today, 277, so over 100 points higher, not even a year later. Just a massive, massive move here for Apple. Congrats to anyone that's in this, either long-term or trading. The other thing that we can look at here for a trade over the next several sessions, if Apple does come back in on any market weakness and then holds this trend line and it looks like it might bounce from that trend line, that might also be a possible swing long opportunity. Let's take a look at the news though. Apple reported financial results for the fourth quarter of fiscal 2025 Thursday after the close, and they reported fiscal fourth quarter revenue of $102.47 billion. That beat the estimate of $102.17 billion. Tech giant reported fourth quarter earnings of $185 versus the $176 estimate. Apple has a strong history of topping analyst estimates. With Thursday's better than expected results, the company has now beat expectations on the top and bottom lines in 11 straight quarters, according to Benzinga Pro. Total revenue was up 8% year over year, and earnings per share climbed 13% year over year. American sales totaled $44.19 billion in the quarter. Europe sales came in at $28.7 billion. Greater China sales were approximately $14.49 billion, and Japan sales totaled $6.64 billion, with the rest of Asia Pacific being $8.44 billion. Product revenue came in at $73.72 billion, up from $69.96 billion year over year. Services revenue totaled $28.75 billion. That's up from $24.97 billion last year. And a breakdown of some of the products here. The iPhone, $49.02 billion versus the $46.22 last year. Mac 8.73 versus the 7.74 last year. iPad 6.95 versus the 6.95. It's actually 6.952 versus the 6.950 from last year. So hardly a beat there, but still slightly higher. At least it's not lower. And wearables and home accessories, $9.01 billion versus the $9.04 billion. You know, we talked a little bit about wearables recently. To me, it seems that if Apple were able to actually design something better than the watch, I mean, I know the Vision Pro was pretty much a failure, but if they were able to design something better than the watch, this number can go up pretty substantially. We'll see if they come up with some type of glasses that actually compete with the Meta glasses. I'm not too sure. I actually saw a commercial for the Meta glasses yesterday. It was pretty awesome. The big feature that I'm waiting for, I'll say it again, give me some ability to read a green and see what the break is, and also track my golf shots, and I will throw money at those glasses. I don't care what the brand is. Apple noted that its active install base of devices once again reached a new all-time high across product categories and geographic segments. The company attributed the growth to very high levels of customer satisfaction and loyalty. We had a little bit of a discussion yesterday about Apple being, quote, a failing company on Happy Hour. The word failing was used loosely, admittingly, by the people that used it. Really, this stems from the conversation that we've had on this program, too, about the lack of innovation at Apple. I want to caution folks, though, making a case for a lack of innovation, lack of AI, that's totally legitimate and totally understandable. Extrapolating that out to a company failing is entirely irresponsible. Until these types of things change, this paragraph here really kind of notes it here. Once again, they reached a new all-time high across all product categories, and the attributed growth is due to customer satisfaction and loyalty. If this doesn't change, Apple is a good buy. Period. End of story. I don't have price levels for you or time frames for you. All I know is that this company prints money, and as they continue to grow, they've turned a piece of hardware effectively into a service. And guess what? Customers love it. They absolutely love the phone. I'm someone that has a Galaxy phone, and I've been saying for a long time, use Galaxy phones or use Samsung phones, own Apple stock. I'm not the only one. There are several other folks in the chat that do the same thing. But I'm telling you right now, the numbers here are incredible. And unless this changes, this is a long. And this is pretty much the genesis of own it, don't trade it. You want to be like Tenzin and trade around it? Awesome. You can really make a killing doing that. But as far as long-term here, until customer satisfaction and loyalty changes, I'm still bullish on Apple stock. Quote, today, Apple is very proud to report a September quarter record revenue of $102.5 billion, including a September quarter revenue record for iPhone and all-time revenue record for services. That is from Tim Cook, the CEO. In September, we were thrilled to launch our best iPhone lineup ever, including the iPhone 17, iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max, and the iPhone Air. In addition, we launched the fantastic AirPods Pro 3 and the all-new Apple Watch lineup. When combined with the recently announced MacBook Pro and iPad Pro with the powerhouse M5 chip, we are excited to be sharing our most extraordinary lineup of products as we head into the holiday season. Apple ended the quarter with $35.93 billion in cash and cash equivalents. The company's board declared a quarterly dividend of 26 cents per share payable on November 13th to shareholders of record as of November 10th. Apple executives will further discuss the quarter on an earnings call. They did that. The stock actually really held throughout that entire earnings call. So would love to know what you folks think about the stock. I think I've got a pretty good idea of what you folks think about the products themselves, and I suspect that hasn't changed. However, the stock being separated from that, would love to hear if you think there's a trade here. Maybe we do get that pullback towards the trend line for a pretty decent entry. We'll see.